Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astyatade Satharine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya eva cha patitanam bhavamibhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I am very grateful to be with all of you. I'm honored for this opportunity to share a few words. Thank you, Dr. G, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you, Mataji, for your wonderful presence. Thank you, Gauranga-ji, for whatever you do. I was thinking of a story that impacted my own heart. Every year for over 20 years, our Bhaktivedanta Hospital and Research Center in Mumbai have cataract eye camps. Because in India, the main cause of blindness is untreated cataracts. And if you're poor, you'll probably go blind because you can't afford surgeries. So we have several of these camps. One of them is in an area in the holy place of Vrindavan. It is called Varsana. And the surrounding villages are very much, according to our estimation, are in deep poverty. And they do approximately 1,000 full surgeries and treat about 10,000 people. But the facilities, especially in the earlier days when we were doing this, were very primitive. Because we didn't have any facility ourselves, so we'd ask the government to close a school for a few days, and they're usually old, broken down schools, and we'd somehow make it into a little hospital, and people were living in tents, and the doctors were living, and sometimes it would be raining, and there would be mud, and it would be freezing cold, and there was no heat. And everybody who was coming was volunteers, all the doctors, all the nurses, all the cooks, everyone. So there was a particular doctor. He was a very high-level, successful ophthalmologist who lived in Mumbai. He was quite wealthy, quite well-known, well-dressed, had a beautiful, comfortable apartment that he lived in, fine foods. And somehow or other, human nature, he was feeling a little guilty that he's treating people and making so much money. But everything he was doing, he was getting paid for. And perhaps he should do something without getting paid for it. And he was approached by some of the people from Bhaktivedanta Hospital, come and do an art camp. You get to spend like a week or two there, and you'll have to suffer a lot. And he said, I'm going to do it. So he was doing so many surgeries. He was walking through the mud. He was living in a freezing cold little room. And something happened. There was one very old Brijavasi lady. She came in wearing rags, just bussed in from the village by her own people. And she had 2 very serious cataracts. And for a long time, she really couldn't see properly at all. She's probably in her mid-80s. She looked like she was about 100 from the rough life she was living. And he did the cataract surgery and put a lens in her eye. And after that, they cover your eye because it has to heal for some days. And she's laying in a bed with, it's about 25, 30 beds where they're just laying together, waiting for the doctor to come. And he removed the bandage from her eye. And the first thing, because these are all devotees of God in this village, and they worship Radharani, who is the feminine aspect of God, Krishna. So they took the bandage off. The doctor took the bandage off the eyes, while the nurse was holding a painting of Radha and Krishna. And she saw it. She was so happy. This withered up, old, poverty-stricken, illiterate woman jumped up and started slapping the top of the head of this sophisticated, prestigious surgeon of Mumbai. She was slapping him really hard again and again and again. She said, you have given me sight, you have given me sight. May Radharani bless you, may Radharani give you prema, may Radharani give you love. And she kept slapping him. He was weeping. He never had such happiness as being beaten by her. The joy, the hope that he gave her. And he didn't get anything in return except slaps on the head. He said it was the greatest joy, the greatest, most meaningful spiritual experience of his life. He said everything else caused him suffering. The cold, the mud, all the difficulties. You know, they're doing surgeries at a nice hospital in Mumbai, everything is facilitated. But that he could selflessly help someone the way he did and receive Radharani's, God's blessings through the process. He started coming to that medical camp every year. He said, whatever else I do, I work hard throughout the year and I make so much money, but the real happiness of my life is coming to do this thing. What is happiness? Just last night, after the kirtan, I went up to Birbhadra Ram Prabhu's room. He's the director of the Bhakti Center. And his good wife, Diana, was sitting with their little newborn baby. And she was sitting on the floor and looking at her baby. And there was like a rocker. She was pushing and the baby was rocking up and back and forth. The baby looked so happy. He was smiling. He's only 3 months old. Or 3 months young, I'm sorry. I was listening. This little child was just so happy, eyes glistening, smiling. Didn't know how to talk yet, can't walk yet, but he's just smiling and rocking and smiling and rocking and seeing him smiling and rocking. The mother was just, you could just see the joy of her heart. And being a Swami, when I see these kinds of situations, I have a natural tendency to get philosophical. So I was thinking philosophically, why is this child so happy, just rocking and it's the simplest experience, just getting pushed back and forth like that. Why, when we rock like that, we don't exuberant smiles? Because that child was feeling shelter. That child was feeling the shelter of the love of his mother. And shelter comes when we have true confidence in someone else's love for us. That someone else is my nourisher. A little baby doesn't have so much intellectual development yet. But that intellectual development in many ways are just kind of covering our basic human and spiritual instincts. Whatever stage of life we're in, whatever we have or don't have, we find happiness when we feel shelter. When we feel faith and confidence that somebody really cares about me, somebody loves me. And that child was feeling absolutely. There was nothing in the world that that child could think about that could not be resolved by crying for his mother. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, I am the ever well-wishing, dearmost friend of all living beings. Daivihi shakunamani mama maya duratyaya mame pami pakyante daivi. One can cross by all obstacles of life if we find shelter. When we take shelter, we receive shelter. As you seek shelter, I give shelter. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. And what is the shelter? When we have trust that our dearmost father, our dearmost mother, who is seated within our heart, unconditionally loving us forever, is there. When we have that faith, when we have that confidence, then in every situation, we feel loved. And to the degree we feel loved, we could give love. And for the heart, it is that love, receiving and giving, that is the only true happiness.
Sorry.
That was not orchestrated. And it's that joy that the child upstairs was feeling, knowing that my mother is here for me and loves me. And it was that love that that doctor, in unconditionally serving someone and getting her blessings, which was her love, he felt such joy. And he wanted to come every year to share that joy. When we feel loved inside, we can give that love to others. And that receiving and giving love is the essence of what spirituality is. That is happiness. Bhaktaram yagitapasa sarvalokamaheshwara suhritam sarvabhutam tattvamam shantiruchya. Krishna tells, when we have that confidence that everything is the property of the Supreme. There's one God with many names who has appeared at many times in many forms over the ages. But everything is the property of that one Supreme Being. And everything is ultimately meant to be connected to Him. That is what yoga means. Bhakti, connected. Suhritam sarvabhutanam, by living in a way that's compassionate, that God is pleased. And that Supreme Being in our heart is the ever well-wishing friend and lover for everyone. When we make that connection within ourselves and share it with others, Suhritam sarvabhutanam. And Krishna says, then you achieve real peace. Why in the world does anyone want peace? Because it makes you happy. If peace make you miserable, nobody would care about peace. And for the heart, the only happiness is love. All this stuff about peace is only in pursuance of our real aspiration. Love, prema, bhava. And when we share that love with each other and help give each other that confidence that there is no greater joy in life than selfless service. When we take our selfish egoism out of the center of our aspirations and motivations in life and put connecting to God's love and giving that God's love to others, that is what true peace, true happiness, and true love is to be. And conferences like today are to help remind each other of that. And our dear doctor is speaking from incredibly devotionally, compassionately presented medical terminologies and research. And I don't know anything about that. I just like to listen to it. But the universal principle, whether we're doctors, whether we're politicians, whether we're parents, whether we're industrialists, whether we're engineers, whether we're swamis, happiness comes through the exchange of love. God's love. Thank you very much.
Anyone has a question for Radhanath Maharaj? Radhanath Swami? On this topic? Yeah.
More of a request, actually, to both of you, because people listen to you and your wisdom, which is hard earned. But East does meet West in another way today, which is highly destructive and hateful. And I think you too, science and spirituality, I long to hear more from, to help us stop India and the US, to help raise our voices, to speak up to our nuclear arms race that's happening again today with the blessings, our taxes, our government. And we have neighbors around the corner here, at the Catholic worker, who are going to prison soon for years because they entered a nuclear weapons base and wrote on, and got up close to the nuclear weapons and wrote, "Love one another. Love thy neighbor." So I hear these words coming from you and the science community, and I know, and thank you for echoing that basic part of our happiness, and that we're all partaking in that which is the opposite of that. So, yeah, so their message was love one another, and for that, they're going to prison. So I just, it's a request for all the medical community to stand up and say, love one another, and can we perhaps halt some of this nonsense that we're beginning to charge again towards. So thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you. Whatever your question is, I'm going to say what I want to say. As I get older or younger, I just don't care about all these things. Trying to conform. But my beloved Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, he gave the analogy of East and West. He said there is a blind man who cannot see, and there's a lame man who cannot walk. But if the lame man is carried by the blind man, then the two of them could both see and walk. And he gave us an analogy of spiritual tradition, religion, and science. Science, technology, all these modern ways of trying to improve the world. That when there is spiritual vision, because a lot of people don't really listen to spiritual lessons anymore because there's so much conditioned to put faith in what physical sciences can prove. So when physical sciences have spiritual direction, and when people with when spiritual communities have the power of science, when they combine together, to bring the whole world in the right direction. And that's what's required. There may be 100 of us in this room today, and we may be thinking, what can we do arms race between all these big, powerful nations and the governments of nations. What influence do we have? We seem like little sparrows that just want to dry up the ocean at our beaks. But actually, all the great things that have ever been done in this world, either they be for divine purposes or evil purposes, they all started with a few people who believed in a common vision. We can make a huge difference. And we will make a huge difference. If within our own lives we care, we access and aspire for compassion, to bring together education, science, technology with spirituality. And we really try to purify our own hearts so that we can access a higher power than just ourselves. And we share. And then we do what we can with integrity, with character. And whether it's a small way, or whether that expands into something enormous, we can and we will change the world. Does that answer your question?
Yes. That was my question. Thank you.
Now, we have a special feature for tonight. Does anyone have a question for Guru?